All right, welcome to hopefully the last Digital Wednesday youth service. Hopefully this is the last one forever, but if not forever, certainly for now, because we're back to live Wednesday night youth service next week. Can't wait for that. It's going to be there at the church. It's going to be awesome. Cannot wait. We'll likely, as long as the weather's not like it is tonight, we will play a game outside probably where we can stay good and 6 feet apart and whatnot, and it's just going to be a good time. It's going to be awesome. Cannot wait to be in person and with you together. This is my 51st sermon to a camera, and I can't wait to be preaching to actual people again next Wednesday. Can't wait for that. With camp, Brother Aaron Wilson is making his final decision on this upcoming Monday about teen camp, so we will know on this upcoming Monday. We'll have the final answer if camp is happening, not happening, whatever the case may be. We'll know on Monday, so keep your ears tuned to that, and share that info with somebody, or share the videos with somebody, so they can know that we'll know by Monday what's going on with camp. Cedar Point, we're just not sure yet. It's likely not going to happen. It's not looking good for Cedar Point for this summer at least, but we'll keep you plugged in for that as well. And we'll start having activities here before too long, and we'll be excited about that. But for now, take your Bibles, go to the book of Proverbs, chapter number 27, one of my favorite chapters in the Bible. I think I've just about preached out of every single verse in this chapter at this point. I love this chapter. This is one of those chapters in Proverbs that I just read often, even if it's not the 27th, whatever month it is, I just come back to often because it's so practical and so helpful and has really just spoken to me in a lot of ways. I love the book of Proverbs, but especially, this chapter number 27 is just so awesome. I love it. And also, while you're flipping there, I'm just going to throw this out there. We've had something weird going on our street. So we haven't had power here for a little bit. So if I'm sweating profusely and trying to wipe sweat off my face, or if I get distracted by a fire truck or whatever, please forgive me for that. We're doing the best that we possibly can. But anyway, Proverbs chapter 27, verse number 18. Also, I used this verse for a kids message on Friday, but really just felt like the Lord was leading me to use it here for the teens as well. So hopefully nobody's watching this for the second time. It'll be a little bit different, obviously, because it's towards teens, not kids, but whatever the case may be, it's a helpful proverb, it's a helpful chapter, helpful verse, and this is what the Lord led me to preach about to you. So here we go. Proverbs 27, verse number 18. It says, "Whoso keepeth the fig tree shall eat the fruit thereof, so he that waiteth on his master shall be honored." It's an awesome verse. Like I said, very practical, very helpful. This verse has shown itself to be true in my life multiple times, and we're going to look at some biblical examples of guys that this has shown itself to be true multiple times. So, what does this mean? First part there, it says, "Whoso keepeth the fig tree shall eat the fruit thereof." Have you ever had fresh fruit from a tree or bush, or whatever the case may be, or even fresh vegetables from a garden or whatnot? I know many have started gardening as a result of the quarantine, or maybe you've been gardening even before that, your family has at least, and you've had fresh fruits and vegetables from like your yard, or maybe you've gone to like an apple orchard and gotten a fresh apple from there. It's just better, right? It's awesome. It's such a blessing. When we moved into the house that me and Sagan are currently living at, the people before us had kept some raspberry bushes in our backyard, and what a blessing that was to be able to have fresh raspberries when we first moved in, to be able to eat the fruit of their labor, so to speak. Growing up in Tucson, the house I grew up in as a child, in our backyard we had a pomegranate tree that we never really did a whole bunch with. But friend, let me tell you, we had a couple lemon trees, and those were a blessing. I have some very fond memories looking back of times, that time of the year when we'd get fresh lemons and we'd make lemonade and all the different things that Mom would make with those lemons. It was just awesome. I'll tell you, I love lemonade, but there's nothing like fresh lemonade that you put the sugar and the water and the lemon juice in together, and you've worked to keep the lemon tree going, and you've worked to, juice the lemons and whatnot and get those going. There's nothing like it. Eating the fresh fruit off of a tree that you've worked on is just something special. I've shared that principle with you too. There's nothing like the satisfaction of a job well done. When you've worked on something and you get to see the result of your effort and work, there's just something awesome about that. I deal with some woodworking and whatnot. I built a couple things here at the house. Like I built our dining room table, and it's not the finest table, in the land by any means. But I remember just finishing that table and just being so, happy with it and excited that it was done and finished and stained and is, in our dining room. And what an awesome thing that is to be able to experience, the satisfaction of a job well done. And so the second half of this verse is equating what it talks about to that, to working on something and getting to eat the fruit of your labor and getting to enjoy the benefit of that effort that was put in. So what does it equate that to? It says, so he that waiteth on his master shall be honored. The second part of this is just saying that if a person who will work hard at the relationship with those in authority over them, they're going to experience, the honor of that, the blessing of that, the joy of that. I want you to notice very clearly right off the bat that it doesn't say 100% that person, that the master here is going to honor the person that waits on them. It doesn't say that. It just says that they'll be honored. There are exceptions to what I'm about to talk about here in a second. Bosses or even parents, unfortunately, or teachers, that no matter how hard you try to wait on them, to respect them, to work for them, to please them, no matter how hard you try to do that, they may never respond in a proper way. I think about Joseph, who, was thrown into a pit and then thrown into a job with Potiphar and then thrown into the prison, that everywhere he went, he was a good, a good employee, a good prisoner, on and on and on. Wherever he was, he showed great respect and waited on those in authority over him. And there at Potiphar's house specifically, he didn't, quote unquote, get honored for that by them. He got thrown in prison. Unlawfully. He didn't do anything wrong. He was framed for something that he didn't do and was then thrown in prison. But the Lord honored Joseph for his hard work and respect and diligence in what he did. The Lord honored Joseph in a huge way. The Lord responded to his waiting on those in authority over him with honor and blessing. I think about Daniel in a place where his life was in danger often, and Daniel was able to climb through the ranks there in Babylon and make a big difference, because he waited on those above him. He was respectful, hardworking, kind, and just did what he was supposed to do, I'm sure with a good attitude and a good spirit and whatnot. And so, there are exceptions to what I'm about to say, but there's no exceptions to the fact that God wants you and expects you as a Christian to honor those in authority above you, to honor mom and dad, to honor a teacher, to honor a boss at a job and whatnot. And again, obviously there are times where, a boss may ask you to do something ungodly. And obviously you have to choose to honor God over that boss. There'll be times where, whether it be a teacher, parent, or a boss, that it's not safe for you to be around them. And obviously the Bible isn't saying throw yourself in a dangerous situation and subject yourself to something like that. That's not what it's talking about. What it is talking about, though, is that when possible, which is most of the time, when possible, to wait on those in authority over you, to respect them, to work hard for them, to do your best for them, to be an example of a godly Christian to them and for those around you, to wait on those in authority over you. And when you do that, I'm telling you, you're going to experience the blessing, the satisfaction of that hard work and labor and effort and discipline is going to result in a good relationship with those in authority over you. A very specific example that I think of, when I was in college, my second year at college, I worked at Office Depot for a school year. And I enjoyed that job. It was a fun job. When I first started working there was a lady, one of the managers, who did not like me, to put it mildly, hated my guts. Literally had never talked to me, didn't know anything about me. She just saw that on my resume, on my application there, it said that I went to Heartland Baptist Bible College. She knew that I was a Christian, and she lived a very sinful lifestyle. In fact, she was in a homosexual relationship there, and she just assumed that I also hated her guts and wasn't going to be nice to her, and just had this idea and this presupposition that I wasn't fond of her, so she just decided to not be fond of me. And for months was not kind to me, did not like me, was not a friend of mine. But I tried my absolute best. I'm not sharing this to pat myself on the back. I'm sharing this because the Lord worked through this and the Lord helped me to do this. I was kind to her. I always did anything she asked me to do and went above and beyond that. I did things that she didn't ask me to do. I said, "Hi, how are you doing?" and was kind to her most of the time, to absolutely no response from her. And like I said, for literal months, I went above and beyond and out of my way to be kind and nice to her. And eventually, she wound up even apologizing to me. And actually became somewhat of a friend there in the workplace to me. And, I was able to even share the gospel with her, and she listened. Can I tell you, she wouldn't have given that 2 seconds of listening if I tried to share the gospel with her right away. But I'm thankful that over time, I got to see the fruit of that labor. A good relationship with a boss that could have been a horrible environment, that could have just been an awful place. And I just really want to encourage you with this very simple and practical thought here, that whoever it is that you find yourself, under their authority, again, mom and dad, teachers, bosses, whoever it is, all through your life, you're going to have people that you're under their authority. And I want to tell you something, even pastoring, I think about Brother Hal and pastor of our church and whatnot, that whoever it is, that if you'll put in the effort and the love and kindness and respect and wait on them in a biblical fashion, if you'll honor them and put in the effort and go above and beyond and be kind to them, you get to experience the blessing, the satisfaction of a job well done, so to speak, the fruit of your labor, like working on a fig tree and getting to eat the delicious fig off of that fig tree, that working on that relationship with those in authority over you is going to result in abundant blessings. It's going to result in an awesome work environment. It's going to result in a better relationship with a boss. Again, there's going to be some exceptions to that. There's going to be some bosses that will not respond no matter what. And you can rest in the fact that no matter what, that God is going to honor you doing the right thing and being the right son or daughter, employee, student, church member, whatever the case may be. But often, if you'll do that and be the kind of Christian you should be to your mom and dad, to your boss, to your teachers, you're going to get to enjoy the fruit of that labor. And that's a good relationship with those in authority over you. I know all too often I see families that, whether it be out and about in public or in counseling and whatnot, just that, it's not a good home environment. And then what an awful thing to have a home environment that isn't what God intends for it to be, which is a loving and nurturing home. And obviously part of the responsibility of that, it falls on parents and falls on other family members. But again, like most situations in life, that you can do your part. You can do your part by loving and being kind and respectful and honoring your parents. Think about classrooms, how that often, and especially in public schools and whatnot, but even in Christian schools and private schools, that teachers don't get the respect they deserve. And they put up with a large amount of disrespect and, turns into bad relationships between teachers and students, which just makes things even worse. Most kids aren't itching at the bit or biting at the bit to go to school anyway, and especially not if they have a bad relationship with a teacher. Again, I've worked in some jobs where the boss was horrible, and I, try as I might, couldn't have a good relationship with the boss. And that's just, it's not fun. It's not a good situation. It's nothing good about that. Again, there are some exceptions to the rule of you doing everything you can to honor and wait on and respect and serve those in authority over you. But again, even in those situations, you're doing what you ought to be doing, and God is going to bless that. But can I tell you, there's really no silver lining at all of you being disrespectful and horrible to those in authority over you. Of you being the cause of a bad relationship with those in authority over you, whether that be mom and dad, whether that be a teacher, whether that be a boss. And I just really wanted to share this verse with you because it's such a powerful and helpful and practical verse that'll help your life. If you'll determine that whoever it is that's in authority over you, you'll do your absolute best to wait on them in a biblical fashion, I'm telling you right now, with absolute confidence, God is going to bless that so much more than you can even fathom. But I'll also tell you with absolute confidence, if you're the type to be disrespectful and mean and not appreciative of those in authority over you, that you're just going to deal with a lot of heartache and a lot of struggles and strife that you're going to bring on yourself by being, stiff-necked and angry towards those in authority over you. And again, be safe, be careful. Don't allow yourself to be in a situation that's not right. I don't think I need to explain that overly clearly. But I want to encourage you that whoever it is that's in authority over you, if you will do everything in your power to wait on them and love them and be the salt and light and be the Christian son or daughter, employee or student or church member that you ought to be for them, that you're going to experience good relationships, you're going to experience a lot of learning, you're going to experience a lot of love, just a lot of blessings that God is going to pour out on you for doing the right thing to those in authority over you. I'm telling you, this will help your life tremendously if you'll learn the biblical idea to be a blessing and a help and to wait on those in authority over you. It's going to be like enjoying a delicious, fresh fruit off of a tree. Just like the satisfaction of that and the joy of that is going to be like the honor you'll receive from waiting on those in authority over you. Can I pray with you real quick and then we'll wrap up? Dear Lord, I just thank you so much for today. God, I thank you that you gave us this book of Proverbs. It's so practical and helpful. And God, I just pray that you'd help us to apply this truth to our lives, to love and wait on those that are in authority over us and to be able to experience the joy and blessing that comes from that. Lord, I thank you again so much for who you are, and Lord, being our ultimate authority and how you love and care for us so much and are a God of second chances and you're a God of justice and righteousness and truth, but you're also a God of love and mercy and goodness. And God, I just thank you so much for who you are and what you're going to do in the lives of our teens and our youth workers and everybody that's watching this video. Lord, please be with services this Sunday and even services this next Wednesday as they're live. And Lord, I just can't wait for that. And it's in your name we pray. Amen.